Let's talk about your hobbies. Hey, we've talked about serious stuff that are actually, it's important, you know.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the non-sciencey or non-science communication part of you.
Yeah. So, Science Ain't Scary was something I started that is related to science, but I see it more as like an outreach. And so that's also kind of related to my passion for writing. So, I'm doing writing and communication related stuff in my professional life, but I'm also really, into creative writing projects. So, I'm working on some, projects that are kind of in the early stages. So I don't want to share too much, but I will say that, not just, I'm not just working on like the scientific aspect of writing, but also the creative, which is, I think, a nice outlet for people, especially if you are, being in a very technical field for most of your day. It's nice to come home and be able to do something a little bit more creative, like even if not writing, drawing, painting, something like that. And so that's something I'm really passionate about. I am also a runner. It's funny because that's one of the first things I tell people when they ask me, oh, what do you like to do outside of work? And for me, running, again, stemmed from something that came out of my eating disorder. But once I recovered, I realized the proper necessary need to provide my body with proper nutrition so that I'm able to run faster and also not torture my body with, asking more for it than what I was giving it. So I've been running for about almost 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I was in my PhD, I was actually fortunate to be able to run with a group to train for the Los Angeles Marathon. So I ran that race 5 times every year during my PhD. And then I ran 2 other marathons. And since then, I have not run a marathon just due to COVID and other injuries and things like that. But I'm hoping, I'll be able to do that again in the near future. And and another thing I actually am kind of passionate about is just, going outside and really being able to, try new things, in the sense that I'm not a very good cook. I don't like cooking, but I do like going out to eat and trying new restaurants, new cuisines. It was funny because when I was doing my PhD, I had a food blog and I used to do a lot of food blogging just for fun. And for a while, it got some traction. I was able to like go to restaurants and try out food and, write reviews and stuff. It was really fun. But then I kind of grew out of it once I started my postdoc. And so it was like I still like doing that, but I'm not super into blogging about it anymore, which is fine because I think we should also acknowledge that, as we go through different stages in life, our hobbies and interests change, which is totally fine.
Yes, which is, that's part of growth anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I like to do. And then I also love to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to emphasize that. Like, if you get 4 hours or less of sleep and brag about it, I will brag about trying to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I mean, sleep is wonderful. Naps are wonderful. Yes. I am an advocate for sleep. So
sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for saying that. We should sleep more. Yes, it's very important for our brains, for our general mental health, for everything, for our moods, for everything. Oh my goodness, sleep is so nice. Yes. And so important. What else?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, I do like meeting people, and having like really great conversations like this. I will say when I was, this is a very recent thing. After I went through, puberty and kind of went away from my extroverted, child-free kind of, or mentality of just being free as a child, I went through this period of like, okay, maybe I am an introvert. Maybe I'm just a quiet girl, but it's only been in very recent phenomenon when I realized that I like being around people. I just need energy for myself from time to time. So, for example, when I'm in Italy, I try to meet other expat women of all different backgrounds. They don't have to be scientists. I like, sharing stories and learning about other people and learning about where they come from. When it comes to books, my favorite genres have always been memoirs and historical fiction, even as a young kid. I remember going to the library and there was a set of biographies of each president of the U.S. And every week I got a book of each president. So I went through the entire series of like U.S. presidents. For some reason, I was interested in that. But I've always been a person that really kind of loves learning about people and history and people's histories. So that's always been kind of like an interest of mine as well.
I don't know. We're talking about the introvertness, and I just Googled. I just thought, I feel like we usually don't have the same explanation of what an introvert is or what an extrovert is. And I feel like even most articles don't say the right thing. I don't know what the right thing is, but how I understand being an introvert. I feel like most people think that introvertness, or rather, I feel like the most common definition of being an introvert is you don't talk to people, you don't like, you're not around people, you're just quiet, I don't know. There's so many things that are said about introverted people. And extroverts are the people who want to talk to everyone. They're social. But I think that's wrong. I think introversion is someone who is just someone like everyone else. Like, I feel like extroverts and introverts are the same people. The only difference is introverts need to recharge.
Yes.
Like, they need to be on their own after having, they can't like constantly be always with people. They get drained. So for them to recharge, they need to be on their own. And extroverts, when they need to recharge, they need people to recharge. Like, for them, they need that. It's like an extrovert can easily, an introvert can easily live alone and feel okay with it, but they would want to still go out and talk to people and be loud and do all these things. And some people get surprised when someone says, "Oh, I'm actually an introvert," but they see them, they always talk, they're always loud, they're thinking they're extroverts, but they're not extroverts. They're just introverts who decide when to be on and off. And off when they actually need it for their own. It's just a personality. They need it to come alive again. But extroverts find it hard to live in a house on their own, because for them, they need to recharge being with people, having a partner around, having kids around, and that's when they are alive. That's when they become alive. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree in the sense that growing up, that definition was definitely not there. It was either you're quiet and you're introverted, and that's bad, or you're extroverted and you're loud and that's good, which is not true at all.
Yeah, not true.
And I think only now we're like, again, realizing that it's a spectrum. There's a lot of people that actually consider themselves ambiverts, so both introverted and extroverted, but I think I like your definition better, where we're all pretty much the same, just the preference in how we recharge ourselves is going to be different. And then also it also just comes down to the fact that how comfortable are we around certain people? Because I am very chatty, very lively. My personality shines through when I'm around people who make me feel safe,
comfortable,
and feel comfortable. Exactly. Yes. And if I'm in an environment where there are people that I feel wouldn't appreciate what I am genuinely about, I'm going to hold back, of course. And, and unfortunately, that has led to situations where people assume I'm aloof or I'm cold or I don't like being around people, but that is the opposite of that. And I think that's an issue that, again, we have to deal as a society and realize that being introverted, extroverted, or kind of reestablishing the definitions for that is something that we need to do to, be more accepting of people and understanding of people. Because, I used to hate the idea of being an introvert, but I'm not an introvert. I'm just a person who likes my alone time, but I love being around people when I feel like I want to be around people, of course.
Because introversion is, that you're introspective, you're when an introvert comes to a new place, it's not like they won't talk. They will take time to read the environment. They will take time to see how they might decide one day to just do the opposite, but they normally take time to read the environment they are in and learn who this person is, how do they think, learn this other person, understand the culture before mouthing or letting their views known to this new environment. But for an extrovert, they can easily go to a new place. They can easily say anything, not knowing what the other people, what kind of environment they are in. Like both have their own strengths, but I think that's how I differentiate those people. Like I remember when I moved to this new church, and I had met this lady in a choir environment in a very different place, and that's where we met. Of course, I wasn't talking. I'm not always talking the first time I come to a new space. I'm always the one to check around and see. Okay, all right. It's not like if you ask me a question, I won't answer. It's not like I'm not confident. It's not like I'm shy, of which is now there's also a difference in terms of introverts. But I'll take my time to say something. Like before I say something, I have to learn where I am to even say whatever I'm going to say. So finally we became friends, and I was loud. I could say whatever I want because now I knew, and that depends. If there's a new person around, I will be kind of careful what I'm saying because I want to also learn the person. So I came to this new environment, and people would say, "Why is she so quiet?" Then this lady was like, "No, she's not quiet at all. It's just that she talks when she's comfortable enough." And they were like, are we making you get scared? I'm like, no, I don't actually fear you. It's just me. I don't just come and just talking to everyone, and it's just me. It's okay for someone to come in and just talk to everyone. That's still a good trait in, certain circumstances when actually you need someone to break the ice for people who've just met, But it's different for someone else. As in both, I feel like every single personality that exists on this earth has its benefit. I see them as benefits. Yeah. I choose to see them in the most positive way. Yeah. How you see a weakness in a way is a very good trait when you apply it in something. And until you come and think about it and you'll see, oh, this is actually a good trait. It can be used in this. As in, if you choose to look at something positively, there's so much resources in people in terms of their personalities if you're going to tap into that. But if you're going to choose certain things are the best things to have in a certain environment, then it's a boring world. We will all the same, and we will always have the same solutions, which will really not help us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Actually, introverts are way more than extroverts. It's just that people don't want to be identified as introverts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is there another hobby that you didn't talk about?
I would say those are my main hobbies right now. I think now that I'm in a better headspace, I will try to explore new things and see if I have new interests.
Like?
Maybe try cooking class. I don't know. Maybe try to fall in love with cooking, even though it hasn't worked so far.
Why do you feel that you need to fall in love with it?
Oh, no, I'm not saying I need to. I'm just saying I've never really given it a... Yeah, just try, see what happens. Or maybe I also play tennis, but I only usually play tennis when I'm visiting home with family. But I think with running, it's easier because it's just it's yourself and you can just get up and go. I mean, you can run with people. I try to find people to run with. But usually group sports, you have to have, know people that play and consistently play. But you never know. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to try new things as they come. But I think I mentioned all the hobbies that I feel good about at this point so far to you.
Okay, great. About running, what do you feel when you run?
Well, running is a really great way. So one thing that a lot of runners say is that running helps them de-stress when they're going through a really kind of difficult situation. For me, it really depends on the situation. I've had instances, for example, all of last year, running was something I felt like I knew how to do and I would go do it, but I still felt stressed about what I was going through. And I think it was because I felt like my situation was very dire and I was going through really kind of strong kind of situation of my depression. But then there are other situations where when I go into my run with a clear mind, or I go into my run with something I want to think about and develop further, be it an answer to a question I was asked of someone for work, or something related to my creative writing projects, running has always been a great kind of activity for me to do. And then I will be kind of in the middle of my run and an idea will pop in my head, or an answer, a nice way to answer someone's question for work will pop in my head. And it's always been a really great, when I'm in the right headspace, it's been a great way for me to kind of think things through and come up with like creative, ideas or solutions to things I couldn't think about before.
Are there highs that you didn't talk about on the podcast?
Oh, sorry?
High points in your career journey or your personal journey that you didn't talk about.
I mean, I think biggest thing that I'm really glad I was able to kind of experience in this journey, despite all of the kind of, setbacks and struggles I've had to deal with, I've come out realizing that I am a really strong person, and I think a lot of us, especially anyone doing a PhD, you have to think about it. Not everyone does a PhD. Not everyone has the motivation and the work ethic to decide and pursue a PhD. And so you are a strong person just in doing that. And, for anyone who has gone through something as serious as an eating disorder, depression, any other mental health struggle, surviving that, or even if you are struggling through it right now, you are a strong person because you are facing a really delicate situation. But if you're trying to figure out ways to cope, to recover, to make your life better, that shows your resiliency. That shows that even if you don't feel good in the moment, there's something in you that wants you to get better and wants you to continue living a really great life. So I think just from all the experiences I've experienced, I'm really glad with the skills I've developed, with the kind of attitude I have, because I feel like the experiences I've had have allowed me to be a lot more be a more sensitive person, a more empathetic person, a person who is willing to listen to someone, even if they don't agree with me, even if they are misunderstanding me, and look at them and not feel like I have to defend myself or feel anger towards them. I actually just feel like I want them to see me as someone that they can trust. Mm-hmm. And I think all of this has made me feel like I am a more worldly, kind, strong, person who wants to be there for others and help them get better too.